Today marks the 6th anniversary of the killing of the American peace activist Rachel Corrie. She was crushed to death by an Israeli military bulldozer in Rafah on March 16, 2003, a few days before the United States attacked Iraq. The 23-year-old student from Olympia, Washington, went to Gaza with the International Solidarity Movement. She was crushed to death by a U.S. Caterpillar bulldozer that was run by the Israeli military. She'd been trying to prevent the demolition of a Palestinian home near the border with Egypt when she was killed. Eyewitnesses say she was wearing a fluorescent orange vest and in full view of the bulldozer's driver. In June 2003, the Israeli Defense Forces concluded her death was, quote, an accident. Human rights groups criticized the Israeli military investigation as a, quote, sham. A year later, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, former Secretary of State Colin Powell's chief of staff, told Rachel Corrie's parents he did not consider the Israeli investigation to be, quote, credible, thorough, and transparent. Rachel's parents initiated lawsuits against the State of Israel, the Israeli Defense Forces, and the Caterpillar Corporation. In 2005, a federal appeals court ruled in 2007 they can't sue the Illinois-based company because that would force the judiciary to rule on a foreign policy issue decided by the White House. In their ruling, the three-judge panel said the case can't go to court without implicitly questioning and even condemning United States foreign policy towards Israel. Well, Democracy Now! Producer Anjali Kamat and Jackie Suin of Big Noise Films traveled to Gaza last week with the Code Pink delegation and Rachel's parents. They visited some of the families Rachel had stayed with and whose homes she had tried to protect. Most of those homes were destroyed by Israeli bulldozers in 2004. Some of the new homes people had moved into were attacked during and since Israel's latest 22-day military operation. Anjali and Jackie asked Rachel's friends, Naima Shair and Abu Jamil, about their memories of Rachel.
واخر يوم لما تقول كاينه حس بدها تموت توصل للباب ترجع.
On that last day, she didn't want to leave our house. She'd get to the door and then rush back to hold and kiss us goodbye again. I asked her, what's wrong? Do you think you're going to die today? She did this a few times, as if she didn't want to leave us. That evening, my niece told me that Rachel Corrie had been killed by an Israeli bulldozer and had watched it on television. I didn't believe her at first and thought she must have been lying. All of us in the house were crying. She had stayed with us for over 20 days. I remember whenever she was late, she'd call and apologize. If she got later than 7, she'd let us know. Once she was stuck at a checkpoint and called so we wouldn't worry. She was just like one of us, a member of our family. She was so good to us.
قليل من الناس اللي بتعمل أمثال ريتشارد قليل يعني.
Very few people live up to Rachel's example. Honestly, even today I remember her. I can see her, slender, fair, beautiful, wearing a kufiya. She was graceful and so courageous, never afraid. My house was near an Israeli watchtower, near the wall. She'd be there with her megaphone shouting, please don't fire. There are children here. She had an open spirit, a pure spirit. She was a great person, irreplaceable. Rachel's life should be recorded in history.
Abu Jamil from Rafah recounting his memories of Rachel Corrie. Well, Anjali Kamat spoke with Rachel's parents, Cindy and Craig Corrie, at the end of their trip last week as they waited on the Rafah border for Egypt to open the crossing.
You asked about Rachel and how people respond to her here. And most everybody, at least if they're, they know her name when they hear it. Most all of them, if somebody points out that we're Rachel Corrie's parents, they're very kind and they want to talk to us. I think I can only explain that because, it is a prison here. And when someone comes from the outside, as Rachel did and as others do, other ISMers, other internationals come to Gaza and the West Bank, and then pay the ultimate price, which is what they feel Rachel has done, I think it gives them some hope. I think it probably strengthens their resolve, to know that there are people on the outside that care as much as Rachel did, and I think that also it means a lot to them to see that we continue, in a way, continue some of her journey, not doing the same kinds of work, but that we haven't forgotten them, that we're back again, and that we're doing what we can in the United States. Rachel brought us to the issue. We certainly, if we had an allegiance before that, it was really to the Jewish-Israeli story and narrative. That's what we knew about. And we learned she was very good about bringing us material, pointing us to websites and so forth, and she really tried to bring us along even before she came here. She didn't just abruptly one day get up and go. She did some planning and preparation for it, and she tried to include us in that process. But of course, we learned much more as she was there, particularly when she wrote the emails to us. It was eye-opening because we knew about her as a writer and as an observer. So it's one thing to read about things on a website or in a newspaper article or a book, not knowing the people who are doing that. It's another thing to hear about it from someone that you know and trust. And so immediately we started to learn things, and so did our entire extended family and Rachel's friends, because the things that she was writing about were being shared. When we came here after she was killed, you know, that our knowledge, you know, just developed more and more. And there really is no better way to learn about a situation than to come and see it for yourself. But I guess a few weeks after Rachel was killed, we met someone named Linda Beale, whose daughter was killed in South Africa when she was registering voters for the first election in which everyone could vote. And her family has carried on her work in different ways, Amy's work, Amy Beale's work. And I remember looking at Linda Beale and saying, were you ever able to retrieve any part of your previous life? And she thought for a moment, and she said, not really. My daughter Sarah said she knew that that was game over, that we were, you know, we had work to do. So a good part of what we do is trying to educate people within government, and we found that most of those people haven't ever been to Gaza. So we have something to offer in the way of information. Certainly in the last couple months, with the support of many people in Washington State, we've been really bringing a lot of as much information as we can to our members, our entire congressional delegation, people meeting with the different congressional offices throughout the state. And it's a difficult process, but I feel like we're having some impact. And Rachel's congressman came to Gaza, Brian Baird, our congressman as well. We didn't know before he made the trip that he was going to do it, but we were so thrilled when we heard that he was here, and we're really happy to hear, I think, very honest, heartfelt statements from him about what he witnessed here as well.